Ben's thoughts on this. I was on a panel with the chief economist Lawrence Yun for the National Association of Realtors, and he made the statement, well, there may be a recession, but I don't actually think a recession this time is going to matter for housing because the housing market is so strong. What do you think about that? Is a recession going to matter if we see one?
Well, I can only comment from my own personal experience, right? So far, it's pretty good. I mean, especially on trying to area, Southern California, are pretty good. And for investors, I mean, most of here are investors, right? So we look for opportunities. If anything happens, I don't think if you're well prepared, I think that's why we're here, right? To learn and network and more opportunities. So I think it's not a bad thing. I agree, I don't have a particular insight, but I think that it will be last.
That's true, yeah. I think maybe if something like a price lower, is more investor has more chance.
Yeah.
Right now, kind of like.
Yeah, those quotes actually I had up there. All three of those guys had been through the 2008 recession, and they said their biggest regret was not buying more during the downturn.
For sure.
So the softened demand and home prices with a correction in some market increase the supply of foreclosures. What market are most likely to see a home price correction?
I think the markets that have seen, there's two categories of markets. Markets that have seen a huge run up, and there's a lot of places in the west and the northwest that have seen a huge run up in prices. People call them Zoom towns because during the pandemic, people could work remotely and do everything by Zoom. So then they moved from, say, California to Boise, and that created a huge increase in those towns. So I think those towns are one category that's most susceptible to a downturn in prices. The other, I think, are more of a long-term trend, are places where you see people moving, even before the pandemic, population moving away. So maybe you disagree with this, coastal California, we've seen a lot of people moving out of coastal California into the interior, and this was even before the pandemic. New York, parts of the Rust Belt up in, around Michigan and Ohio, places like that. Those are the type of markets that I would say are most susceptible.
How about you?
I agree, actually. But I think, long-term wise, coastal communities and our county was always pretty strong. But, look at the properties more granularity. I think overall, I'm not talking about Zoom now, I'm talking in general, the lower market take as the last to rise and the first to fall. It's very clear in our county here, last year in Southern California, right? Like our county, San Diego County, always the strongest market. And when the market rises, the Inland Empire will get this, somewhere in the riverside will be the one slower. But that's why, we're actually seeing higher price increase in Inland Empire in the last, 12 months. The rent is crazy now. And the price, but they also tend to fall. I guess Zoom now will be the ultimate example that this is now supposed to be pretty high and always, So, the same trend, be careful, when you talk about investing, it does have impact the market cycle. Where do you want to buy, what kind of product you want to buy, it does make a difference.
True, and I live in Dallas, and I realized the north of Dallas, the past 2 years, the price go up crazy. But right now, it's in the correction. You can tell that over $1 million house, they drop the price about $100,000. So
Very simple, people want to live in a nicer place, but when you can afford it, it becomes good, people come to a nice area. Right? And then look at too crazy, price too high, price get, people get price high, that area is, the lower area.
I think that the one thing Dallas has going for it is there's so many people living there that there probably will be a price downturn. But over the long term, if you're buying there, you're going to have a demand for your houses.
That's true. In the past 2 years, there's about 120,000 people moved there. That's crazy. Okay, how does the distress volume compare to the greatest financial crisis?
Yeah, I did just want to make the point that so I was talking about some of those graphs that we could see maybe 300 to 400,000 foreclosures per year. And in the quarter of this year, there were 90,000 foreclosure starts. Just to put that in perspective, back in 2009, at the peak of the last crisis, let's see, the numbers were, well, first of all, there was over 1 million foreclosures in 2009. And then just in the fourth quarter of 2009, which was the absolute peak of the crisis, we saw over 500,000 foreclosure starts compared to 90,000 now. So the numbers, even though they're going up, they're still way well below those numbers.
How about you?
Yeah,
Were you investing back?
Yeah, at that time.
It was, I tried to buy it as many as I can. I remember one of my investors said, let's get the best deals. I said, no, let's get the most of the deals, as many we can. I remember the second quarter of 2009 in Santa Ana, in one zip code, I was half of the volume because nobody else was buying. I had like 10 or 20 or something, 10 or something, it's crazy. But again, it comes into this. If you're prepared, if you know what you're doing, it's just more opportunities.
Recently, I have a friend talk to me. He said he want to get most of the cash he can and then wait for the downturn and then he can buy more.
Well, I think liquidity is important, but engaging market is also important as well. So many people that have been waiting for a long time, and I have a really sad story. Actually, before I went to a routine track, I have a coworker. That's year 2000. He started working earlier than me, and he was thinking of buying it. But year 2000, he thought it was the price too high. The price gone up so much. I was completely naive. So people tell me the price going up, better buy it. So I bought one. 5 months after I got the first job. So I said, no, I'm gonna wait until the price come back. So he wait. Finally, from year 2000, he waited until 2008. The price no joke, the price already doubled or more than doubled by that time. No, more than doubled, because I bought my first house, 1999 was 2017. That house was the 2000 before the subprime crisis was like as high as 800,000. So that's like what, almost triple, right? But he got a dip, so he came out 20-30%, whatever discount from the peak, the price. And then a year later, the price got cut by half. And because he couldn't afford to buy Orange County anymore, because we're in fact in New York.